Seeing things from a different point of view and realizing you were wrong, that's one of the hardest things to actually sit with. Not because the truth is complicated, but because your ego gets there last. And I think what makes it harder is that being wrong doesn't always feel like being wrong in the moment. It feels like being right. It feels justified. It feels like you have reasons, context, history that explains everything. And you hold on to that story tightly because the story protects you. And I think that's the part I had to confront the most. For a long time, longer than I'd like to admit, I was playing the victim. Not consciously, and also not dramatically. Just quietly and consistently building a version of every situation where things happened to me rather than because of me. And it felt real. It felt true. Because when you're inside that story, you can't see the walls of it. You just see the evidence that confirms it. And then something eventually shifts. Maybe it's time, maybe it's distance, maybe it's someone who cares enough to stay in your corner long enough for you to finally hear something you weren't ready to hear before. For me, it was all three, but especially that last one. Someone who believed in me even when I couldn't see clearly, who didn't give up on the version of me that was still figuring it out, who stayed long enough for me to finally start seeing things differently. And I think without someone willing to be there through the resistance, I might still be inside that story. Because here's what seeing it actually feels like. It's not a clean moment of clarity. It's not comfortable or empowering or any of the things growth is supposed to feel like. It's an ego hit, a real one. It's the realization that the story you've been telling yourself, the one that made you the wrong party, and the one that let you off the hook, wasn't the full picture. And that some of the damage that happened, some of the distance that grew, and some of the things that went wrong, you had more to do with that than you let yourself believe. And then comes the helplessness. Because seeing it clearly doesn't mean you can fix it. You can't go back. You can't undo what was done under the old version of the story. You just have to hold the clarity and the helplessness at the same time. And that's genuinely hard to calm down from. There's this restlessness that comes with it. This urgency to do something with a realization to make it right somehow. To not just sit with the weight of it, but sometimes you just have to sit with it. And I think letting go of the victim story was the hardest part of all, because it also meant letting go of the agency I'd given away without realizing it. When you see yourself as a victim of everything around you, you stop making choices. You just react. You just survive, and you just tell yourself this is what's happening to me and there's nothing I can do. And realizing that means accepting that you had more power than you used, more agency than you claimed, more responsibility than you took. And that's the pill. That's the hard part. Not just being wrong about facts or details, but being wrong about the whole frame you were using to see yourself. But I think seeing it, even years late, even with the help, even through the ego hit and the guilt and the restlessness, is still better than never seeing it at all, because you can't change from a version of yourself you haven't even acknowledged yet. And now I have. Seeing things from a different point of view and realizing you were wrong is a hard pill to swallow, yes, but I think the people who actually swallow it are the ones who get to become something different on the other side. And that's worth the hard part. Even when it takes years, even when you need someone to believe in you first.